When I was 14, I plucked up the courage, man, it took some courage, to call the National Lesbian and Gay Helpline. The man on the other end of the phone, when I explained to him my situation, he said to me, yes, you are gay. And that he told me this was my only option, that I needed to embrace this, and then, and only then, would I find happiness. I remember thinking, is this it? Is this the only option that I've got? But I couldn't think of any other option but to pursue my future as a gay man. It was when testosterone kicked in around puberty that I suddenly was left erotically craving men, and most prominently in the areas where I'd failed to be touched and where I'd failed to be filled with that fatherly and brotherly love. I found myself just trying to fill this with so much pornography and masturbation, and I was lost in a world of sexual fantasy. I came out to my family and to my close friends when I was 17 years old, and all of them affirmed me, wishing me well. At the age of 18, I moved to London for university, and I threw myself into the gay community. And I saw it as my duty to challenge different organizations and institutions that dared to turn around and say in any way whatsoever that gay wasn't okay. I said, this is the way we are, this is who we are, back off. I'd learned to believe myself to actually be a heterosexual woman stuck in this male body. I was just desirous of trying to find my Mr. Right. And then I found him. He was everything that I wanted, and he ticked all my boxes. And other people looked up to us to model their own relationship on the relationship that I had with my long-term boyfriend called Steve. It was while at university I made a decision that I wanted to put God into the driving seat of my life with other young Christians my own age. These young people had an intimacy with God that I didn't have, but I wanted it. The more time that I spent quietening my soul in prayers, I began to see that my boyfriend was craving from me a sense of affirmation in his masculinity, and that neither of us really had what it took to truly affirm each other. I came to the tough realization that I needed to break off my relationship with my long-term boyfriend. So I did. Even though I'd been in a long-term relationship, I'd actually used and I'd been used by over 200 male sexual partners in quite a short space of time. Such was my craving need to connect. Such was the craving need of all these other men to connect. There we were using, and really, we were abusing each other. This put me into a place where I began to question more deeply what was happening within me. And I came across this fatherly, older Christian man who basically, he would hold his gaze and look into my eyes. He would embrace me with this deeply appropriate, non-sexualized touch. And he didn't see me as this gay man with a label or inside of a box. He wasn't frightened to go back and to look at a number of incidents from my past. I'd been abandoned at birth. I'd been incubated, I'd been fostered, I'd been orphaned before being adopted. He helped me to face the pain and the grief that I'd been sexually abused by an older Christian man, a married man, and by an older friend of the family. These men had literally stripped me of my dignity, and they'd left me in depravity. I was brought to a very specific place where I knew that there were 5 people that I had to go and face. And not just to face them, but to forgive them. I had to go back and meet my childhood abusers. And I wasn't letting them off the hook. I was saying to them that they had to be sorry for what they'd done to me, but I was there to forgive them. I was there to release myself from the pain and the misery that they put upon me during my childhood. I went and I found my 2 birth parents, and I made peace there with my past. So forgiveness became paramount on my journey. So my addictions and my sexual fantasy and my craving for pornography just began to reduce. My anxiety reduced. My self-harming disappeared. My feelings of suicide were no more. My voice had dropped. My walk had become much more masculine and very deliberate. I learned what it was to take my place as a man among other men. And nobody was more shocked than me when I began to notice the curves of women. I began to start dating women. And then before too long, I entered into marriage. And then I became a father. A joy that is absolutely indescribable. And this was something that I was told outrightly that I would never and could never be. Even though there are still some rare occasions when I experience same-sex attraction, the way in which I deal with those attractions has completely changed. I now see that I'm not just a victim and a survivor of my past. And I leave you with this question, you the viewer. What do you think I am today? The victim or the victor? That answer is yours.